Hello, welcome back to the podcast. For those of you who are new to this podcast or to my channel, hi, my name is Rennie. I go by at just Riri Shop online, and I am a 32-year-old millennial who has been diagnosed with a host of different things, but the longest standing diagnoses are BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, um, generalized anxiety disorder, and depression. And right now, I am struggling a lot with my mental health. It's a very interesting time because I feel like I've been experiencing very high highs and very low lows, and I've healed to the point where I have a type of clarity on things that I just never had in the past. But it doesn't, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that being aware and having clarity and being able to see things from a different perspective is just a step along the journey, but healing isn't linear. And, life is gonna life, and there are still gonna be difficult moments. And this episode, I really want to focus around the importance of just acknowledging our anger and where we are right now. I just feel collectively that there's just so much going on in the world, and there's just so much going on if you're in the United States like I am in our country, and there's so much going on in our personal lives at the same time. A lot of the people I know struggle with, either mental illness or chronic illnesses or burnout from their careers or relationship issues, but it's just there is no reprieve, it feels like at times, because there's always something to figure out, there's always something to heal through, there's always something to survive through. And I think like my fellow millennials probably relate to feeling like just this existential exhaustion with feeling like we've constantly been surviving just massive upheaval after massive upheaval. And I think that what for me anyways, I think one thing that really sets our generation apart from some of the elders is I feel like a lot of us have also been healing generational, wounds and patterns that have been passed down to us from our parents and our parents' parents and so forth that aren't healthy, like these old unhealthy patterns and cycles that we decided, hey, this doesn't make sense. And obviously there's privilege in being able to do that because you have to have a certain level of needs met to some extent to kind of, take the time to be able to process all of this stuff. But I say all this to say we've all been like navigating, balancing our own internal wars and our own personal growth, which is hard enough as it is. And especially if you're someone like myself who has like complex trauma or, mental illnesses or chronic illnesses, it's already enough to be juggling just life in general and healing and personal growth and working through family patterns and so forth, with also simultaneously being aware of and wanting to be involved and wanting to support what's happening in our communities and in the world at large. There's so much going on right now that I actually genuinely am suspicious of people who are saying that they are completely fine. Because if you're completely fine right now, you either lack empathy or you're extremely privileged. And I say that unapologetically. I really mean that. There's so much going on. And even if you aren't someone directly impacted by like the socio-political issues, like there's just so much rapid transformation taking place within our personal lives, in our relationships, and in our family lives that how could you be quote unquote okay? And this is not to shame people who are feeling okay with things. It's more so just that I want to validate people who are really struggling right now, especially if you're struggling with your mental health or your physical health, because honestly, I think that we live in a world that sets us up to be quite unwell. And it's, in my opinion, a normal reaction to feel unwell in the face of this much injustice and chaos. Every day, if you are someone who chooses to be aware of what's happening in the world around you, there is just more insane news. I'm someone who, as a career, has worked in public relations, media relations, communications for the past like 8+ years of my life, which has noticeably, I'm sure, drain the spirit out of me. It's quite literally sucked the soul out of me to do this type of work. And it's the reason why I've been really pivoting and trying to choose opportunities that feel more aligned, even if it's difficult to do so. But having to have the pulse on what's happening in the world and read the news has negatively impacted me in so many ways, especially living in the United States between 2020 till now. There's just been so much, so much. And these have been the hardest 5 years of my life. Personally, I've gone through so many family and like just I've gone through multiple divorces. Yes, multiple. Again, I am a BPD girly. Um, I've been navigating like healing ancestral wounds and just navigating like complex childhood trauma. And especially as a survivor, I'm a survivor. I've navigated every types of abuse you can think of from a very early age. And I only recently started to talk about it and open up about it. And I feel like my throat chakra gets blocked even when I try to talk about it. It's still really hard. Um, but I say all this to say it's been like so frustrating trying to be balanced or feeling this kind of pressure to be balanced or be perceived as stable while I'm navigating all this shit. Like dealing with divorce and dealing with just persistent relationship issues that I've just never experienced what a healthy relationship feels like. And I've also been trying to hold myself accountable for the ways that I've caused harm in relationships and friendships because of my own mental health and trauma. And then I've also been trying to just navigate the whole process of recovery, both traditionally speaking, which I have since learned just genuinely doesn't work for me, and then also just like if you are someone who is drawn to a more spiritual path, there's a lot there that people aren't really honest about either. It's not easy. It's not easy to confront your inner demons. It's painful and exhausting. And there are so many times that I just want to throw in the towel and say, fuck it. I don't want to do any of this anymore. I did not sign up to be a human. So there are times when I'm just like at my wits, and today felt like one of those days where I was just like, oh, and it sucks because yesterday was such a great day. And I feel that this pressure to kind of maintain this sense of stability in the face of like all the shit that we have to go through. And I'm bringing up those things as my own examples of some of the personal, challenges that I've been navigating. Um, just healing from so much trauma and relationship issues and like severe mental illness, and it's been a lot. And I also have a child on the autism spectrum, and I don't talk about that aspect as much because it's hard for me and I'm very private about my child because of my own childhood trauma. But it's a lot to navigate co-parenting, not having any family to support, not like I've felt alone in a lot of this. And I'm grateful because I have a couple of really good close friends, but I can count on one hand how many people I have in my life that actually show up for me and show me that they care. I've had to just figure everything out on my own for a long time. And the one thing that just keeps coming up is my frustration with just having to appear stable when we're all navigating so much. And I'm just really sick of us performing. And I'm really like at the point now where I just want to encourage every single person. Can we all just stop? Can we can we just collectively agree that we don't have to perform anymore, we don't have to mask anymore, and we can talk openly about the chaos that is happening both in our lives personally, if you are someone that's struggling, and also collectively? Can we just all collectively agree that it's okay that we feel like we're losing our minds right now? Because I think this pressure, and I know for me it's something I place on myself, but I know that there are so many other people who also struggle with this. Um, that's just like an added weight on top of everything else. Like we are literally witnessing straight up the rise of authoritarianism and fascism. And I can't say words right now because I'm experiencing executive dysfunctioning because I'm so unwell in this current present moment. I will get out of this, but today was a hard day. And we're navigating all of this socio-political just insanity around us. And we're also navigating trying to heal ourselves from chronic illnesses in a society where even accessing healthcare and accessing healthy foods is a challenge. And then we're also trying to recover from things that we most of us shouldn't have had to go through, especially if you're someone who went through significant childhood trauma. And then you're also trying to have empathy for our parents who, they didn't take it upon themselves to actually learn these lessons that now we are choosing to learn so we can break cycles. I could go on, right? I could go on, and it's a lot. And I think we all are at the point where we're acknowledging that, where we're like, okay, yeah, we have all been through a lot, and it's been a really traumatizing past couple of years, even for the best of us. Not to mention those of us who are on the margins, those of us who are navigating complex trauma or mental illnesses or chronic illnesses. Like, this is a tough time, and that is the understatement of the century. And so the last thing that we need is this internal pressure from ourselves or like this silent external pressure from society to mask and perform and pretend like everything's fine and everything's okay. And I think that what's adding to my frustration, what I'm noticing is adding to the frustration of the collective is the feeling that we're still expected to do that to some degree, whether it's like in our relationships, friendships, and our jobs, especially, like we're still expected to show up and kind of just like brush things off or smile through the pain or still make like small talk or like hearted talk. And this is not to say we shouldn't be experiencing joy. This is actually the opposite of how I feel. And a lot of the work that I'm focusing on now really pushes a focus on experiencing joy and play, but it's more so this like cultural norm that we have, at least here in California, I feel, where we feel like we have to pretend and we have to show up as this like happy, polite person and essentially just perform a mask even though we know and we feel that the people around us are struggling, or we know and we feel that our communities are struggling, or everyone's overwhelmed with something, right? And we're also watching these larger issues play out around us. And, there are those of us who are overwhelmed to the point of not acting or not taking action or just trying to focus on self-preservation and taking care of our own, like taking care of our own families, which is very important to do during this time, especially if you're a community that's being targeted by everything that's happening. But also, I feel like it would be easier for us to be able to come together and support each other and take action and be there for each other in community and be the change that we are hoping to see and like be the saviors that we're hoping will just, I guess, come out of nowhere. Like, I think we're realizing that it is us that we have to do something, but we're overwhelmed because there's so much that we're already healing through and navigating through. And especially right now, like if you're into astrology or if you're like just keenly aware of energetics at all, there's a lot. There's a lot going on right now. I've been saying this all year, but it's like it's paradigm shifting energy this year. And it feels like 2020 on steroids to me. I feel like I've just come to so many major realizations, but at the end of the day, I'm reminded that it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how much I know if I'm not integrating it and embodying it and taking action and letting it move me forward in a positive way. And I struggle to do that and also pretend. So for me, the focus has just been on showing up honestly and authentically And you lose a lot of people in the process of doing that. It's really hard to do that when other people are still performing around you and not being honest and not being true to themselves and authentic. And right now, I'm really like really seeking out and trying to build and encouraging people to stop, to just stop masking and stop performing and to be real about what it is that you're going through, what it is you're struggling through. And I think when the more we all start to do that, the more we can find the spaces, the places, the people that are genuinely meant for us, and the more we can actually have the support we need, the inspiration we need, the motivation we need to take action. Because I think a lot of us are lacking support, like true, genuine support right now. And I think part of the reason why we are is because we're not being honest. We're not being our full, honest selves. I think the more that I go out and I'm just like, hey, I'm not actually doing well, like genuinely not doing okay. I am severely mentally unwell and I'm healing from a lot of things. I'm healing from a lot of heartbreak. I'm healing from a lot of trauma. Um, Also, it's really shitty to see what's happening in the world and to see what's happening to the most vulnerable among us, children and innocent families. Yeah, none of that feels great to me. The more I show up and speak openly and honestly, the more that it kind of invites other people around me to feel safe enough to do so. And the more we do that, the more we create space for the friendships, relationships, environments that actually genuinely make us feel supported and held. If we keep hiding and we keep pretending like everything is fine when we know damn well it's not, we're not finding the people or spaces we're meant to find because they can't find us if they don't know us and they don't know us if we're not being our true selves. And right now, I think it's so important for us to be finding our spaces and our people because we have work to do. Like we have stuff that we are here to do. I personally am someone who believes in purpose and not in like the dogmatic religious way, but in just a general sense of like I do think that we are here for a reason. And right now it's very clear to me anyway what that reason is. It's like a lot of people need support. And for those of us who have experienced the underbelly of the world before, those of us who know what it feels like to be attacked and brutalized and pushed aside and abused and harmed in any capacity, I think that we have a unique role to play in what's happening right now. And that can feel like a burden when we already feel like we're going through so much as it is and we're already exhausted. But there are perspectives and things that we share from our own personal stories that can help people. And it's exciting to me when I see more people, like everyday people, genuinely sharing the reality of what they're going through. That is so healing to me. And so I just want to encourage everybody else to do it too. Um, I don't really know where I got left off at because my entire computer froze and now my monitor stopped working. Yay. Um, it is Mercury retrograde, and also I just feel like I've been ah, I'm not having a great day. I'm honestly like in a crash out type mood. I'm gonna be very honest, and I just feel like it's important to be real because that's the type of world that I decided I want to live in. I want us to stop pretending, so I'm not gonna be pretending anymore. I feel like shit. I don't like this country. I don't like the world that we live in. I don't like the leaders. I don't like men. Right now, I don't like men. I'm healing that though. I know that's toxic, but I don't like them. I've been traumatized and harmed by literally every man since the second I was born, starting with my dad up until my recent partner. And I think that we should normalize having friendships and safe spaces where we can share our trauma without it being quote unquote trauma dumping. Because at one point in time, I do think that we knew the role community played in healing. And now the fact that we feel like we never have spaces where we can be real and talk openly and honestly about our struggles without it being trauma dumping. And of course, you need to have boundaries and understand others' capacities, yes, but like never talking about our issues is bullshit. And I think that's part of the problem. I think that's part of like why so many of us are unwell, why so many of us are struggling in silence. We need to have people in spaces where we can do that And so I'm choosing to do that. I feel right now like every time I take like 10 steps forward, I take 15,000 steps back, which is dramatic, but that's how I feel. Um, every time I feel like I have a win, I feel like I'm being like literally energetically attacked legitimately. Um, which sounds very much probably insane and unhinged to some people, and I genuinely don't care because that's how I feel. Um, I feel like every time I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, it really bites me in the butt. And I feel like every time I try to explain to people who are ignorant why they should care about things that matter, it literally makes me want to jump off of a cliff. I also feel like every time I try to hold myself accountable for the things that I've done wrong, and it's just met with people who refuse to they themselves hold themselves accountable as well, it makes me never want to speak to human beings ever again. And that's just how I feel today, currently in I would argue emotionally dysregulated state. And I know that I'll have another day like yesterday where I was feeling on top of the world and just super motivated and optimistic about the future. Today is just not one of those days. And my hope is that the more we share what's genuinely coming up for us when we are having these difficult days and talk about, how we're actually genuinely feeling and thinking and not without fear of judgment, obviously, without fear of being perceived a certain way. Like when we can release this need to control the perception that others have of us and we could just be real and just be honest, I feel like things will be easier. Not in the sense that, the world just magically improves and we won't have issues, but just in the sense that we will have this major thing that I think weighs on so many of us off of our shoulders. Because now we at least have people we can talk to. We don't have to mask, we don't have to pretend like everything's fine. And I personally feel like that's the biggest issue that I'm facing right now. And then it's hard to then know how do we come together because we know what right now that one person can't fix everything, fix all the problems. Um, and I think a lot of us are at a place too within our own personal journeys where we feel like we need support too, but like how do you ask people for help when we're so conditioned to do these things in silo? And so I think this is how we start. It's just by being real, being honest, so that we find our people. Um, so yeah, I'm not sharing any of this to like be a guru or come off as giving some profound advice or, solutions for navigating everything that we're all up against right now. It's more so just to be a voice of just the average person out here trying to survive and make it. And with the hopes that I spread the energy of authenticity far enough to where we can all genuinely drop our mask and just be fucking honest and real with each other. Because that is really driving me insane. That's the thing that drives me crazy is just knowing and feeling things. And especially as someone who I'm an intuitive, like I am an intuition led person. So when I feel something in my gut and it's like, okay, this person is just gonna straight up just deny this shit, then okay, cool. Or like you're literally witnessing these things, and at the same time, you're seeing people who are still just so willingly in denial of their own feelings and of what's actually happening in their relationships, of what's actually happening in the collective, and of what's required of them to become better people. And they're still just like not not gonna do it. They're still just gonna perform. Ugh, it makes me want to tap the fuck out. I'm not kidding. Because it can be exhausting if you're one of the ones who's decided, I'm gonna actually try. I'm gonna actually like be honest. I'm gonna actually seek out support. I'm gonna actually try to heal. I'm gonna actually try to take action and like make the world better somehow, even if it's just by like being the one who breaks cycles in my own family. It's so hard to be that person and then sit around and watch everyone else around you just choose to stay ignorant or to stay stagnant or to just not even try, not even try. to change for the better or get involved or get informed. It's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. And it's these people are causing so much harm without even knowing it because they convince themselves that by being complacent and ignoring the realities of their own emotions and of the world, that they're good people. Staying comfortable doesn't make you a good person though. And so like that's kind of where I'm at right now with humans. Um, it makes me all the more grateful though for those who are in my life who have chosen this path of like, I'm going to actually heal. I'm going to actually go after the things I genuinely want. I'm going to show up authentically. I'm going to be informed. I'm going to help in whatever way that I feel called to do so. I'm so grateful. And if you are someone who in any way is trying to make the world a better place, whether it's by healing your own traumas and mental illnesses or mental health issues, whether it's, you know, helping other people who have struggled with things similar to what you're going through, or building community, or organizing, or, you know, if your work is connected to healing in any way, whatever you're trying to do, you know, if even if it's just within your own community, within your own family, within your own relationships, that matters so much more than probably any of you actually get credit for on a day-to-day basis. And as a stranger who doesn't know you, I just want to say I'm very proud of you because that is what I believe is going to save us. It's those of us who are making an intentional and active decision to do better, to be honest, and to take action. And when whatever it is that our intuition is calling us to do at this time, to become a better person and to become who the world needs in order for us all to live a more peaceful life. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it there because I'm high key in like a partially disassociated state right now, and I'm just not feeling well at all. And I just felt compelled to come share from this place because I'm really trying to break out of this mindset that I need to show up perfectly. Instead, I want to just show up honestly. And honestly, right now, I feel terrible. And if you are also struggling, I just wanted to do this to just remind other people that you're not alone. Like, there's so many of us who are going through so much, both internally and externally, personally and collectively. And it's a lot to deal with. And it can be really isolating. I'm very much a hobbit and very withdrawn when I'm struggling, and I don't trust most people. So it can be really lonely. And I think that a lot of us struggle in silence. And I really want to break out of that. So even if just by sharing this to however many people somehow come across this video or podcast, I'm grateful that you're here and that you're trying because that's all we can do. So I'm gonna leave it there. I wanted to say I was gonna go to sleep, but I haven't been able to sleep. So I'm going to try to go to sleep. And then I hope to be back with more updates on just some of the things that I'm personally excited about and working on. And even despite the highs and lows and the heartbreak and the grief and all the shit that I'm navigating in my personal life and also witnessing in the collective, I'm still excited because in being so honest with myself and so honest with others, I am able to connect with and be in community and in friendship with the very few select few people in my life um who have also just felt a calling to show up and create spaces for us to heal and grow and connect and find the support and care we need so that we can all make this world a better place. So that's what I'm going to be pouring my energy into in between crash outs and grieving and work and parenting. So I'm gonna go now, but if you stayed up until now, you are a real one and I love you so very much. And until next time.